Imagine you're in a listing presentation at the kitchen table and the seller is sitting right across from you. Now you look down at your phone and the same other seller who you've had their home actively listed for sale for 3 weeks, it's overpriced, calls you. Do you answer the phone now in the middle of a listing presentation? Hell no. But you'll do it during the activity that gets you the listing presentations. It's a decision you make. You just need to make a better decision going forward. Here's what'll help. So a lot of you are saying, okay, it's a new year. So we're all turning over new leaves and we're all trying to do things a little bit better. So with someone like me, where that usually starts is with the calendar. If I'm going to change my behavior, I'm going to change it in my calendar first, because I know that my calendar dictates what I'm going to get done and what I'm not going to get done. Okay. Now, if you're not one of those people, please listen to me. You need to be. Okay. So you need to make a behavioral change on that one. There is a right way and a wrong way in business. I'm not going to talk about your whole life because there's different arguments there and I might lose that argument, but I can win the business argument. You need to live a structured business life. Okay. You need routine and structure in a business life. Now in your personal life, stop and smell the roses, live in the moment, all that kind of stuff. Go crazy. I agree with all of it. Not my wheelhouse, but I'm working on it. But in your business life, we want exactly the opposite. We want structure, we want routine, we want discipline. Not sexy words, but all needed for business. Okay? So I'm going to show you what I think your days should look like. And the fact is, no one's watching you to make sure you do this but you, because you guys run your own businesses. So only you can ensure that you do this. Now, getting outside of your head and putting it on a piece of paper is a layer of accountability. It's not with another person, but it's at least on a piece of paper so that it reminds you what at one point in time you told yourself you needed to do. That makes sense? Because at the time you're about to do it, you may not feel like doing it. You may not feel like going to the gym. You may not feel like setting up your SOI database. You may not feel like calling back 10 potential listing leads. You may not feel like shooting a quick video and posting it on Facebook, but you know you needed to. So that doesn't happen without a calendar. I mean, I've coached so many agents and so many successful ones. And that's the one thing that usually the more detailed their calendar, the more successful the agent. So when someone first starts coaching with us, the first thing I do is shoot me a screenshot of your calendar and send it to me. That's my question. And they're like, huh? Don't you want to hear how many deals I closed last year? No, not right now. I mean, I guess that's useful information. But what I'd really like is a screenshot of your calendar. Then I get the calendar, and then I actually look at the day before. I look at yesterday, and I ask them if they did all those things. And based on their answers to those questions, I can usually tell how successful that person is in general with life. Isn't that weird? So if you're trying to succeed at real estate and skipping over I'm going to keep a structured routine calendar, I'm just going to tell you, I've never seen it done. I'm yet to see it. A highly successful person. I mean, you got to be successful. I'm not saying, I know you can sell 20 houses a year. I know you can, I'm saying if you're trying to go next level with this, you're not going to do it without a calendar. And I don't care who you are, you'll always do it better by adding and getting more calendar. So not only will you make more money, I'm also saying you're going to have more personal time. But I don't know how you do without a calendar. I mean, you could do okay without a calendar. Sure, I can give you lots of examples, but you're not going to be highly successful without a real tight one. Okay? So if there's one thing I know everybody on this call could do to do better this year is to get more calendared, myself included. Can I get tighter in my calendar? Can I get more detailed in my calendar? Which basically means I guarantee you, look at your calendar right now and look at all the stuff that's in there. Did you do anything that wasn't in that calendar? And if the answer is yes, there were some things I did today that weren't in this calendar, then that means you could have been more detailed. And if you could get more detailed, that means you could be more efficient and get more done. And unless you've played with a calendar a lot, you may not believe me, but I promise you. So let's now talk about what a high producing agent's calendar looks like, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you one. Okay, so this is my little yellow cursor that's bouncing around here, okay? So I'm gonna talk to you about it. So what I've got showing you here is, if you look at the dark gray, see that, or black, whatever you wanna call that color, from 9 to 11 each day, I have marketing or business generation, okay? And then, so what I care about here is preserving as much charcoal, we'll call it black, as much black as humanly possible. I've got 2 hours of black here, and then I've got an hour of black a little bit later in the early afternoon. And that's called lead conversion and follow-up. So from 9 to 11, this person is actually trying to generate brand new leads for 2 hours every day. Then we're following up with existing leads that we know want to buy or sell a home sometime later in the year, every afternoon, right after I get back from lunch. This I'm showing is 9 to 11. Guys, this could be 9 to 10. Could be an hour a day too. If you're doing no lead gen, I am very happy with an hour a day, because now you're doing 5 hours a week as opposed to 0. And that's a huge, huge improvement, because 5 hours a week times 52 weeks a year, man, that gets up there. That's like 260 hours a year on lead generation. Do you know how much more business you would sell if we added 260 hours of lead generation to your calendar each year? That's 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. That's all that is. Now, I've broken. Now, you could also do 3 hours in the morning. I know people that do that from 8 to 11, prospect for 3 hours. Philip, you do that? Yeah, Philip does that. I mean, you're going to crush it when you do that, man. I mean, that's 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 15 hours a week. We'll say 50 weeks out of a year, give you a couple weeks off. That's 750 hours a year of lead generation. You're gonna make a lot of money if you do that. I don't care who you are. You're also gonna get very good at lead generation. The idea is to get as much of the black as possible. Now you can see, I'm a very big believer in sandwiching my lead generation with prep time and post-prep time. So I get to work and I've given myself a half hour to get set up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean by get set up? That's like get coffee, go to the bathroom, get my numbers out, respond to a couple emails that jumped in, whatever. So I don't set myself up to fail and show up and waste my first 30 minutes of lead gen time with busy work. So I limit my busy work by putting a time block around it. I have 30 minutes to get all my crap done so I can start making money at 9, right? Now, then the key is for you to lead generate from 9 to 11, and that's it, which means you must block out all other distraction, which that's the hard part, you gotta admit. So during that time, when we're trying to lead generate, we've gotta block everything else out. So to get in the space to feel how hard that is, imagine you're calling your SOI, you're calling all your past clients from last year to tell them that you wanna give them a copy of their settlement statement from last year, so they can give it to their accountant to prepare their taxes this year, which you should all be doing that. That's just a very basic customer service for an agent to provide that. Don't think they still have it. They've already lost it. They need to give it to their accountant. So we could be doing that, right? So let's say you're trying to get that done because we know it's already January, mid-January, and those accountants need that stuff by the end of January to have time for taxes. So I'm hustling to try to get that done. So I'm calling these guys, but all of a sudden I look at my phone and I see that one of my active sellers, who I've had their house for sale for 3 weeks and it's still active and it hasn't sold yet. It's a little bit overpriced, let's say. So they're calling me like mad. This is an existing client and I'm right in the middle of lead gen time. I'm at 10 a.m. What do you do? I mean, I know what you say you're gonna do. What you say you're gonna do is ignore it and keep lead generating. But what does 99.9% of realtors do?
Respond.
They pick that phone up. Got to keep that seller happy. Does that make sense? And the reason we pick it up, now mind you, it's not because you're busy. It has nothing to do with you being busy. It has everything to do with the fact that you don't want to lead generate. And if you don't believe me, let's just change the scenario and you will believe me. Now imagine you're not lead generating. Imagine you're in a listing presentation at the kitchen table and the seller is sitting right across from you. Now you look down at your phone and the same other seller who you've had their home actively listed for sale for 3 weeks, it's overpriced, calls you. Do you answer the phone now in the middle of a listing presentation? Hell no. But you'll do it during the activity that gets you the listing presentations. It's a decision you make. You just need to make a better decision going forward. Here's what'll help. Remember back when I said I believe in putting time blocks before and after an activity? Well, if you look over here, we got this call at 10 o'clock. Look, I've got time free from 11 to 12. So let's say that seller called me at 11. I can either let it go to voicemail and call him back. Sorry, let's say he called me at 10. I can either let it go to voicemail and call him and know that I can call him right back at 11. Or I could text him back and say, I'm in an appointment. Can I call you after 11? Now, seriously. And I really want you to think about this. Is there anyone that would get mad at that text? I'm in an appointment, but can I call you after 11? No one is going to get mad at that. So the fact that you need to jump and sidetrack your entire marketing department and shut it down for the day, like you literally shut your entire company's marketing department down, probably for the day, because the likelihood of you coming back and making more contacts is slim once you've gone down the rabbit hole and answered the phone to this seller, because they're going to shake you and make you distraught because they're mad at you for not getting their house sold. Does this make sense? We just sent them a quick text and we keep our marketing department open at all costs. We never shut down our marketing department. And if you look at this calendar, there should never be a time on here that someone can shake you. Like, let's say someone calls you at 9:30 a.m. Who can't wait till 11? You do realize we're in real estate. And as much as we like to be drama queens, we are in the slowest industry in the planet where nothing is urgent. I mean, nothing. Even when you make an offer, they have 3 days to respond. You've got 17 days to get an inspection done. You can certainly call someone back in an hour. In fact, if you call someone back the same day, that's okay in real estate. So that's why we do this. Does that make sense? So we always leave this hour after lead generation open so that any distractions that come our way, whether it's an email, a voice message, or a text, when we see it, we know we've got time for it and we've got time allotted for it. So we've got business servicing. So what we've done here is we've put business servicing time in teal. This is when you work with your existing clients on your existing transactions, everything that we've got that's already come into us. Make sense? So if they're already our client, they're teal. Now with this much teal in your calendar, you can see that's about 2.5 hours a day of managing your existing clients. Now the moment of truth. 2.5 hours a day, that's what? 12.5 hours a week? With 12.5 hours managing your existing clients, can you imagine how many pending transactions that should handle? Anybody want to guess? Philip, you're saying something.
Oh, I think I said 24 hours. I mean, I figured it out. For me, it's 4 hours in the morning for the most part, marketing or lead generating, and there's about an hour, 30 minute at 8 to 8:30 and 11:30 to 12 for servicing. And then in the afternoon, it just becomes kind of a crapshoot from like 1 to 5. Either you're in stuff with kids, home showings, whatever it is. But there's generally an extra hour to 2 hours late in the afternoon, or depending where that goes in, for more servicing as needed. And a lot of it's really just delegated, just making sure LO's doing their part and buyer's agent's doing their thing, or listing agent, or whoever's involved. So there's like funnels for that. My coach said just funnel everything into certain days of the week. And so a lot of my escrow follow-up happens to fall on Tuesday, because I know most people won't do anything Monday. So it kind of falls into the early morning and late afternoon of Tuesday. And then for buyer prep, a lot of it falls into Friday for the weekend. And then for listing prep, you're doing a lot of it on Wednesday, and then getting the property launched on Thursday or Friday. So there's certain themes per day of the week, and the emergencies that have come up. Now, like Gabby said, a quick little text message, may I please call you right back after this appointment, with a few emojis. And then I call them back at 11:30, or I call them back at 1, whatever's going on, and go from there.
There you go. Yeah. And don't you notice, I mean, I love how you put that too, because what you were saying there is just a couple hours about what I'm showing, right? I mean, just to answer my question, you could handle 20 pending transactions with this schedule. 20 pending. You could have 20 under contract right now, and in just 2.5 hours a day, service it. Now, there's a lot of people who say there's no way. I would question how thorough you are in your calendar, because time will expand.
Love that.
Fill the space allowed. And it's amazing how with 1 pending, you can take just as much time business servicing as 20 pending. But I'll tell you right now, unless you've got more than 20 pending, you can you have enough time to do what I'm talking about. I don't care if you've got 9 kids. I don't care if you have another full-time job. There's just not that much time involved with servicing existing clients in real estate. If there is, I don't know what you're doing.
Brian, can I add to that?
Yes.
A lot of times agents, especially newer ones, and even seasoned ones, want to go down rabbit holes when that call or email comes in. But once you're in contract, there are probably no less than 5 to 7 people copied on everything.
That's right.
So when you ignore the emails and when you ignore the phone calls and tell your business servicing time, chances are someone else has already handled that so-called fire that was never a fire for you to deal with. And you never even had to have any stress over it.
That's right. That's right. That's very, very true. No, I agree 100%. So look at I'm gonna leave it. So look in the afternoons here. Okay. So we come back from lunch and we're doing our lead conversion and follow-up. Notice how I snuck in on Thursday a lunch with my wife. Did you see that? How all of a sudden this one, my wife wanted to go to lunch, so we actually stretched it out to like 1:45. And all I did was push my lead conversion and follow-up back. You see that? How I can make little changes. That's an example of a quick little change for my personal life. That could also be a kid's choir performance. It could be a parent-teacher conference, whatever. I just push stuff back and make it all fit. Now, do you see how I'm telling you I could have 20 pending and still lead generate and do lead conversion for 3 hours a day? I'm not done yet, and pretty much be done to pick the kids up from school most days. Do you see that? Because that's true. Unless you've got a property to show or a listing appointment to go on, you really should be done at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock every single day. And guess what? If you're done and you don't have any property to show or homes to list, go to a movie or whatever you do to have fun. Enjoy yourself. Don't sit at the office staring at a computer screen pretending that you're doing something productive. You're either lead generating up here or you should be home. But do not sit around pretending that you're busy at work. Go home. Because if you stay at work saying how hard you work all the time and how busy you are, you're giving realtors a bad name. Because you're not doing anything that's required to be done. You're just killing time. Get your lead gen done. If you don't have anything from it to show or list, go home. That's it. So there's a lot of agents that sell a lot of real estate that go home at 1 and 2 o'clock every day, unless they've got a listing appointment. That's the mentality you got to have. Because I don't know what agents are doing at the office other than these things. You know what I mean? Okay. So there's that one. Let me show you this one. Here's the daily schedule that I'm going to share with you as well too. This really breaks down each day. The times are a little bit off. Like this guy's lead generating for 2.5 hours, for example. Again, I don't care if you're going to lead generate for an hour a day. I don't care if it's 2 hours a day. I don't care if it's 3 hours a day. I really don't care. That's up to you. Because I think most of you, if you just add 1 hour a day, you're going to knock it out of the park. Now, if you want to play it safe because you got some big financial concerns, you want to do 2-3 hours a day, go for it. It's great too. That'll get you more. 3 hours will get you 3 times as much as 1. So I promise you that. The results will work out. So the same idea, 8 to 8:30 is our prep, 8:30 to 11 is lead generation. Then we always leave that hour for business servicing after lead gen, because that hour is what tells our brain to not let interruptions in, because we have an hour to deal with them after this, right? Lunch, take time for lunch. Then we always calendar time for lead follow-up. All those leads that we know, those are our most important contacts to make. These are people that we know that want to buy or sell a house soon. Boy, we call them, right? Then after we get done with that time block, we know there's an hour after that if we need it. And then it's listing appointments and showing. And if they're not there, go home, spend time with your family, pick the kids up, take them to lunch. In this business, we have massive flexibility, but it's up to you to know what to do with the free time. And I cannot say this enough. Most agents don't know what to do with the flexible free time in real estate. They just stay in front of their computer. They stay in the office, and I have no idea why. Go home. Go pick your kid up from school and spend some time with them. You got to pick because tomorrow you might have a showing or you might have a listing appointment. And I don't want to hear about you griping because you got home at 7 o'clock at night because you had to show 3 properties, write an offer, and list one. When the day before you could have been spending the time with the kid. But no, you sat at your office, stared at your computer screen, didn't see your kid. So then when the business did come the next day, you don't even know your kid's name anymore. So you got to pick your battles when they come. So that means when you get personal time, make it personal time, make the most of it, because you don't get to pick when everybody wants your attention to list their property for sale. You could try, you don't necessarily get to pick. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna throw these, and you're right, Philip, that's all about the counterbalance, right? That's all about balance and counterbalance. Like there will be nights where you have to go on 3 listing appointments and you don't get home till 10 o'clock. But that means if that happens, let's take Friday off and give yourself a 3-day weekend to spend time with your kids. So we're gonna get that balance back by counterattacking in our calendar and taking the business when it's there, but then also being purposeful about freeing up time so we balance our life. That's the hard part. That's where I see a lot of people messing up that are realtors. They don't take the time back. They like to be victims so they can constantly complain about how hard it is and how much they're working, when it's within their power to take a lot of that time back. But that's up to you. Go ahead.
It's like being an athlete. We're athletes. We're not playing, the big game every night. I mean, realistically, if we each got 2 appointments a week, 1 buyer for a BRE, 1 seller for a listing, it would be so damn busy. It would be unbelievable. I remember my coach making fun of me saying, Philip, if you actually ever hit your goals, you'd be like the biggest realtor ever. You just need to get granular and focus on what will get you to where you want to be. And it was something super simple. I never thought about it. It was just 2 appointments a week. If all I did was go on 2 qualified appointments a week, and half the time I got the listing, at the end of the month, that would be 4 listings a month.
That's right.
And it was so stupid easy. You know what I mean? It wasn't hard. I didn't have to think of 10 appointments a week or 20 take on 5 listings a month. I just had to think of getting on 2 listing appointments a week, qualified, motivated, finding the pain points and knock them out. And all of a sudden momentum started kind of coming our way. And now it's about ratcheting it up and all that other stuff. But early on, it was just, hey, how do we get on 2 appointments a week and make that our stringent focus? And that's a lot of
time management is really more about keeping it simple. You know what I mean? And that's great. I mean, you got 2 appointments a week. I mean, it could be as simple as, hey, I've got to lead generate from 9 to 11 each day, or from 9 to 10 each day. That simple. I mean, if you could just carve out and protect that 1 hour per day, honor your calendar, don't ignore it, and make yourself do what you need to do for 1 hour a day, that would be so much more than most. I can't even tell you. But instead, we want to run around, over-educate, look for lots of magic pills, look for a new idea. You're just basically looking for a lot of unicorns that don't exist when it's that simple. So my advice would be to pick something that simple, whether it's the 2 appointments per week or just protecting the time for the activities that get you those appointments in the calendar, to hold yourself accountable to that. Those are the steps that make people highly successful, is learning how to do those little disciplines.
And Brian?
Yeah, hey Bob.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I find that, agents get their license and they get all excited for the first, 90 days or so. And we're in the relationship business. And yet many don't want to get on the phone and make that relationship. They don't want to keep in contact with them for whatever reason. They don't want to talk to their sphere, which is the easiest to call. They'd rather call some for sale by owner, which honestly could take years of experience and script training to do anyhow. Right. But we're in the relationship business, and honestly, like you're right, an hour, 2 hours a day, it doesn't take a huge amount of effort, but it takes time and consistency to do, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I'll even speak up on that as well. Having been obviously a technology trainer now for the better part of 10 years, the thing is, I see a lot come into class and they want to spend time staring at a screen, playing with things, but they won't call their database. right? They won't get in touch with their sphere of influence. And so you can do all the work shuffling things around between CRMs and playing with different aspects of command. But if you're not actually going to call and reach out to your business, to your sphere of influence, you're missing everything.
That's right. This is not about selling houses. This is about people. Okay. So when people get into real estate, I love it when they tell me, man, I get into real estate because I love houses. I'm like, yeah, that's the product. Okay. So loving the product is probably, don't get high on your own supply.
But Brian, it's also, Brian, becoming a perfectionist of, I'm going to use the perfect CRM. It doesn't matter what CRM, it matters that you have a CRM that you use, but it doesn't matter which one, and that it's perfect. There is no perfect system. There is no perfect social media, act on it. It's the execution.
Yeah, and that's what Candace said, man. You don't have to be perfect with it. You just got to do it. You know what I mean? I don't even really care about your performance or anything. You just have to do it. We have to engage with people. And then as you do more and more of that, then you will get better through that activity. It's not about preparing for the activity. Let's do the activity and that'll get us prepared. So that's the idea, guys. So if I leave you with something, I hope it's that you get in your calendars and you get very tight with that lead gen time. And if you do nothing, just protect that one thing in your calendar. And the way you protect it is you put barriers on each side of it for business servicing. One to get prepped and one to come out of it. And then you do what you're supposed to do during that hour. That's it. You don't let anything else in.